As soon as he began to approach her, he knew something was horribly wrong. She pulled her face into an ugly, mocking sneer and laughed. Then all her friends began to join in. Salty tears ran down his cheeks as the whole world collapsed on him. He wanted to run away from them, but he couldn't move. That day, something inside him snapped. Nobody would ever treat him this way again. Nobody. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Anthony Bayer was a self-proclaimed fast food addict. Burgers, fries, hot dogs, pizzas, all the kind of foods that most people have as a weekend treat, Anthony ate every single day. His family tried their best to get him to eat healthily, but Anthony would still somehow get his hands on greasy foods. The more Anthony ate, the bigger he got. But he just brushed it off. The food tasted too good to not eat. But Anthony had no idea what was in store for him. Everybody at school would tease Anthony, taunting him about his appearance. Even a few of his teachers would make sly yet harsh digs about Anthony. He tried to mask his pain and humiliation, but he was sinking further and further into a dark hole. He thought it couldn't get any worse, but little did he know what was coming. Every day, Anthony would binge on junk and fast foods. He'd have a meatball sub for breakfast, 2 pizzas for lunch, and fried chicken for dinner. He couldn't help himself. It was the only way he was able to deal with the cruel taunts from school. Prom was approaching, and nervous girls and boys lingered in the school hallway, waiting to be asked out to the most special night of the year. Anthony dismissed the idea of going to prom as soon as it was announced. But then when Molly, a popular girl at his school who wouldn't look out of place on a cover of Vogue, approached him in math class, he had no idea what was in store for him. Molly walked up to Anthony, flashing her Hollywood smile. Anthony felt butterflies in his stomach. She was one of the prettiest girls he had ever seen. "Will you go to the prom with me?" Molly asked. Anthony was speechless. Yeah, sure," he quietly replied, his cheeks blushing bright red. Molly gave a cheerful smile and walked away. Inside, Anthony was bursting with excitement. He was so happy, and he knew his mom would be happy too. Little did Anthony know what was coming to him. The day of prom swiftly arrived, and Anthony had rented a fancy suit and even splashed out on a limousine so he and Molly could arrive at prom in style. When he kissed his parents goodbye and hoped into the limousine, ready to pick up his date, he had no idea his entire world was about to come crashing down. Anthony, armed with his fancy suit and limousine, pulled up to Molly's house. He could feel his heartbeat race as he got out of the car and walked to her front door. He was super nervous, and his hands were shaking as he rang the doorbell. He took a deep breath and waited for his date to appear. After a few minutes, the door opened and Molly appeared. What she did next would leave Anthony scarred for the rest of his life. Molly, who looked like she was ready to grace a Hollywood red carpet, started laughing at Anthony. A group of people appeared behind Molly and joined in with the laughter. Did he have cookie crumbs on him? Did he leave a smudge or shaving cream on? Why was she laughing? It turned out the reason for her laughing was way worse than a mere cookie crumb or blob of shaving cream. "You're just a big joke," Molly said, laughing and pointing at Anthony. Hearing those words, Anthony could feel his world crumble around him. He was mortified. How could someone be so cruel? He felt the tears trickle down his face, and he ran back into the limousine as fast as he could and headed back home. It was the cruelest thing Anthony had ever experienced. When Anthony arrived home, he raided his parents' fridge. It was fortunate that they were out. He wiped away the tears as he gulped down whatever he could get his hands on. He knew that people would hear about the heartbreaking prank. He was for sure going to be laughingstock at school on Monday. And he was right. When he arrived at school the following Monday, his classmates were laughing and retelling the story of him getting publicly rejected. Thankfully, Anthony knew that school was about to finish, for good. He would never see these people again. He would never have to watch Molly, the girl who left him heartbroken and humiliated, laugh at him with her friends. But Anthony was wrong. With each slice of pizza and chocolate cake he devoured, he showed no signs of slowing down. He would consume 2-foot-long meatball subs with a large bottle of Coke for breakfast, while lunch would consist of a burger meal from KFC and a packet of Magnum ice creams. Then for dinner, Anthony would consume 2 large pizzas and another 2-liter bottle of Coke, meaning he was consuming around 10,000 calories per day. Caught in a vicious cycle, and at his highest weight, Anthony tipped the scales at almost 300 pounds. Because of his large size, he was made the subject of intense bullying and scornful looks wherever he went. And more than just a target for bullying, his weight was having a severe impact on his health. Although he was still a teenager, Anthony was putting himself at risk for diseases such as gallstones, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol and triglycerides, coronary artery disease, CAD, a stroke, and sleep apnea, among other conditions. Complications of being overweight also include liver problems, problems with hip development, slipped capital femoral epiphysis, or bone growth in the legs. So why didn't he try to lose the weight right away? I sank into a major depression after that, which lasted years after high school ended. I never thought anyone could love me and that I'd be alone forever, Anthony confesses. And the more depressed he became, the more he looked for solace in food. I didn't know how to eat properly and didn't care. I was addicted to fast food. Anthony was too embarrassed to go to the gym when he was at such a high weight. Given the fact he was subject to such scorn and hurtful comments when just walking around in public, going to a gym full of fit people he assumed would react the same way was the last thing that he wanted to do. It's such a contradiction. Making fun of someone who is overweight for going to the gym is like making fun of someone who is hungry for going to a restaurant. But a trip to the doctor was about to change all that. What Anthony originally thought was going to be a checkup doctor visit ended up being a complete wake-up call. His doctor conducted tests, and the results showed that Anthony was about to get diabetes. The words hit Anthony like a ton of bricks. He knew he had to do something about it and make some drastic changes. But was it too late? Anthony's trip to the doctor made him realize he had to quickly change his lifestyle and eating habits. It was quite literally a case of life or death. For the first time in his life, Anthony went to the gym, and he started to eat healthy too. It was hard at first, but eventually, Anthony got into it. He started to educate himself on nutrition and foods and carefully watched what he ate. He knew it was going to be a long and tedious journey, but it would be worth it. He wasn't going to give up. No way. The key to a healthy transformation is including a variety of foods in your diet. Everything in moderation. Heavy on whole grains, fruits, vegetables, complex carbohydrates, and the importance of eating plenty of protein cannot be overstated. This has been shown to boost metabolism by 80 to 100 calories per day. High-protein diets can also reduce cravings and obsessive thoughts about food and reduce the desire for late-night snacking by half. But for Anthony, cutting out sugar was key. After a few weeks, he began seeing a difference in his body and feeling healthier than he had in years. Now, he was unstoppable. Anthony was working out pretty much every day and was eating healthy. He swapped pizzas for brown rice, chocolate for fruit. He was determined to prove everyone wrong. Finally, his weight started to drop off. It was a long and tiring transformation, but the results were worth it. He was oozing with confidence. Finally, he felt happy. But he had no idea a visitor from his past was about to come back into his life. 5 years passed and Anthony looked completely different from the 17-year-old he once was. He had started a YouTube channel in order to motivate people, using his words of wisdom to help change people's lives. He also gained a lot of female attention. Using the numerous dating apps out there, he received over 1,000 matches. It was crazy, but Anthony had no idea what was about to happen. It was late in the afternoon, and Anthony had just finished a workout at his local gym. With endorphins pumping around his body, he headed home ready for an early night. As he pulled into his driveway, his phone beeped. He had received a message. When he saw who the message was from, he felt sick to his stomach. It was from Molly, the girl who humiliated him back at prom. How did she get his number? What did she want? As he read the message, he had flashbacks to that humiliating night 5 years ago. The night where Anthony's world fell apart. She had some nerve to message him. In the message, Molly apologized for what she did back in high school. But the message didn't end there. You see, she followed up her apology with an invitation for Anthony to go on a date with her. Anthony was lost for words. He wasn't going to stand for this. No way. Anthony could remember how mortified he felt when Molly embarrassed him. He had never felt humiliation like it. He had no sympathy or time for her. He didn't want to give her a second thought. And what he did next left Molly just as humiliated as she made him 5 years ago. She had it coming to her. You see, Anthony completely ignored the text. "You will forgive, but he will never forget." This incredible man can now carry on living his life full of rightly deserved happiness. The bully who made his life a living hell will never hear from Anthony again, and Anthony was more than happy with that. I never thought about my health until my doctor said I was about to get diabetes. I broke down in tears and realized I needed to change my life, Anthony revealed in an interview. I stopped eating fast food and began cooking for myself. I also stepped foot into a gym for the first time back in 2014 and haven't looked back.